afternoon. Today I'm going to try to give you a new perspective on revision, on how to revise your papers and everything. The article tuning, tying, and other things is it's an article that has a lot of stories that give us a new perspective on how authors revise their stories, on what they think revision is at times. And I found it very helpful if one would put those stories all together and create a comprehensive process for revision. We're going to start with sculpting. All these stories in the article give us an idea from an artsy side, from more of a fine art side. So we begin with sculpting because in sculpting you need to shape. You know, you start with shaping. That's when you shape your paper. That's when you see how it's going to flow. That's when you get the ideas together on who it's going to point towards. You get the overall view of how you want it, what you want it to be, and then that's when, after you've shaped it, you can go in and you can make those little changes that direct it in different ways. So, like a sculptor starts with a block of stone, they create the shape, and then they start to chisel away the little details. Next, we're going to move to painting. Now, in painting, you can change the essence, effect, or audience, and all of that, etc. It's like creating little fine pieces. When a painter has their brush, yes, they create a shape as well. They start with shaping their work. They also move to creating little strokes and things that don't mean anything at first, but later on they come together as a comprehensive part of the piece of work. Every little stroke is important, so and it can change the entire. Every stroke can then change the entire atmosphere of the painting. And so, in the painting process, you begin to make those little changes. You begin to decide, what's this going to be? Why is it important? Who is it going to point towards? Who's going to be listening? Next, we're going to go to sewing and tailoring. I'm going to move out the way in a second. In sewing and tailoring, you're adjusting everything to fit together. You are making the audience and the purpose fit together with everything else. So you have your shape. You've gone to creating the little processes, the little strokes that are gonna push you towards a certain idea. And now you're really getting clear on what your audience is, what your purpose is, where you want this paper to go, and why is it important. Next, we're going to move to tying things off. This part is important because we go back into the text and we go and see that it's important. It's important for you to go back and look at things, look at the smaller things that you may need to clean up, that you may need to fix in order to push it towards a certain audience, in order to push it towards a certain purpose, in order to create that essence that you want to make it fit together. Because you can have your overall shape, and you can have these strokes and everything, you can make it fit and everything, but now you have to go back into it and fix the little things. Like a sculptor needs to go back into it and fix the way they may have shaped the eye. You can fix the way that the eyelid on the thinking man may be. A painter needs to go back and adjust a stroke pattern or something, or adjust a coloration pattern, or how things flow together. A tailor needs to go back and maybe adjust the hem of something, because they need to go back in after they've already made it fit. They need to adjust it to fit even more, to be more clear-cut and direct, for it to be a professional finish. Now we're going to move to fixing things. Now this is when procrastination and everything come in, because like an old car, everything is done at once. When you take your car to the mechanic, you're not going to get everything done all at once. More problems going to arise as time go on. Just like in a paper, you're going to need time to go back and revisit that paper to see what other problems that you may discover. So in fixing things, you write it, you get all these processes done, and then you give yourself a day or two, and you may go back and read it. So that's important. It's important to try to get things done earlier, so that you can have time to go back and read it and polish it even more. And lastly, we're going to go cutting. In cutting, you want to go back and revisit once again. So after you've gone back and revisited, you want to go back and revisit once again, and you want to cut the dead pieces. There are a lot of things that may be unimportant now that you've gone through the shaping and the painting. You've added those things that you wanted in the sewing and tailoring, and now you've gone through tying some things off and fixing things. There still may be things that you need to cut off that make the paper dead. They kind of make it mull along. You have sentences that drag on or that don't really fit within it, and it's okay to cut things off. It's okay to get rid of things because it deadens your paper, and you want vitality in your paper. You want your paper to flow. You want your paper to be interesting and to stay alive. So, with cutting things, it's very beneficial for that vitality. So you also want to give yourself enough time to do that. And with all that, we have your revision process, and the end process should be a more polished draft. Polished draft is important. It's what you're going to turn in, it's what you're going to be graded on, or it's what you are going to present to the world. This is your polished idea. And a paper's never really done. A paper writing is never really finished. That's why I can say your final draft. It's your polished draft, because maybe you go back later. Maybe in a few years you find out something else. Or in a few months you see a different point of view that you want to add to it. You can always do that within your blog posts, within academic articles, within even videos and such. You can go back and either add stuff in or anything other such. If you have a song, you can go in and do that and make sure that everything flows together correctly. There's nothing wrong with going. That's what remixes are. If you want, that's why nothing's really ever done. So that's when you have the polished draft. And if you think about these things and the shaping and the adding the essence and purpose and making sure that everything fits within its purpose and making sure when you go back in, everything is still fitting its purpose, and you turn things off that, and it points more towards that. And then you go and you revisit it, and you're fixing the things that you see wrong, because you're only gonna know what you want, what your purpose is and stuff. So you go in there, you fix the things that you see wrong, and then you cut the parts that are not important to your paper. You cut the parts that don't help. All right, well, that's an idea on revision. I hope this process can help you within your revision process. And thank you.